Thank you for joining me. I'm Karen Ann Lissick McDonald, and today is an awesome day. We're going to talk about exciting things, and as you can see next to the Bear Clan and our motto, our little bio bear here, we're talking today about water, and we're going to talk about the essence of water because it's the essence of life. And so one of the things we're going to talk about right now in these times that are shifting and the essence of what you need to do to protect yourselves, and again, it will be the water. So I'm going to go to a couple things and we're going to show you some very cool ways to use water, to test water, to make your water more hydrating, and also where to locate your springs. There are going to be some fascinating things, and water, like I said, it's a cosmic mother. It really is. It's all about life. And so let's take a look at some of this, because you know what? Some of the stuff that you're looking at here is absolutely vital. And one of the things here we're going to look at is David Wolf. And David Wolf is basically an amazing guy, and what he does, besides being a friend of mine.
One of the things that's really remarkably different about the spring water in Hawaii versus, say, the mainland of North America is that the water in Hawaii is very young. It's not very mineralized. It hasn't had its impregnation of the energy of the crystals, the calcium layers, the granite, the rock that you find here. So it's a richer, more hydrating water actually here in North America than you would find on a young set of islands like Hawaii. And that's really something special. It's something that's very noticeable. So I have to drink 3 or 4 or 5 times as much water in Hawaii as I would here. This is one of our favorite types of glass. This is the Myron glass. Best water bottle probably made in the world. And this is the violet glass that was channeled through by Jacob Lorber over 100 years ago and produced in Europe today. And that's why we go the extra mile to bring it to get the water here. I've got one in my bag here. This is amazing. This is produced in Vancouver. First glass designs. They gave me this bottle. It's got the Sri Yantra on it, all kinds of water prayers, flower of life, prayers in Chinese, Japanese, and in Sanskrit, and then the Oms on top. This was just filled with Hawaiian spring water yesterday, which I just finished off. So there's still some droplets of the Hawaiian water in there, which I'll leave in there. And get that mix. Now, people ask me all the time, is there any bacteria in water like this? And the answer is, the colder that the water is, and this is ice cold, and the less amount of total dissolved solids, or the lower the content of minerals, the more likely there's going to be less bacteria. But generally, cold spring water has no bacteria in it as a general rule. So that's something really important to understand about the spring water.
Is it's
basically pure, fresh, and cleaner than your tap water. And on top of all that,
no bacteria. It's cleaner than the tap water, even if you're using filters and Berkeys and all sorts of things. So those are things that you need to take into account, and most people do not realize. So I think that is something very, very important that you need to know. One of the other things I'm going to talk about too, we're going to look at where do you find this spring water. This is so important for people, because I think this is critical. If you don't know where your local springs are, David Wolf, Daniel Vitalis, based on a lot of different teachings from people like Victor Schauberger, Rudolf Steiner, and other greats that have been around forever. This is cosmic law. This is like, forget your 33 degrees, top secret above top secret. This is essential information that you need to know. And when you need to know that, this is what we need to look at. So let's take a look here. This is a site called Find a Spring. So findaspring.org, O-R-G. This is the map. And you can go anywhere on this continent and take a look to see where those actual springs are. And of course, there are way more springs than this. But if you need to zoom into your different areas, where are the spring waters? This is very vital. This is where people have actually put in and told people where they are. Or you could go on a foraging mission for these. So I think it's really, really cool, because you know what? This is a lot of why these different, we'll say, smoke and fires and energy weapons and stuff are being shown, because you'll see a lot of these times they're actually very close to actually where those springs are. So it's more about, I would say, people and our children and the water war crimes that we're looking at here than anything else. Land is not that important. But anyway, take a look at that. So if you don't know where to go, that's actually about as close as how many Yoni steam therapists there are too, or Gina's biofeedback therapists there are. So that is one of the other things I think that you guys need to take a look at. It's so, so important. And why are we going to find that spring? Why are we going to go to all the efforts here? And again, usually we gather it in plastic, and then you can transfer it to glass, because glass is a pain to do, because it enters the bloodstream in less than 5 minutes. And that's why I use water on my remedy plates, water from a distance or distance healing, because at a molecular level, we're over 99% water, let alone on the base level of about 70%. So this is going through a multiple earth filtration through so many different rocks, layers, cleansing, carbons, magnesiums, everything else that picks up healthy microbes and healthy probiotics. And the only time you can have one really, really contaminated is if man has gone in and frickin' fracked the blank out of it. And that's the only thing. But you can test it. They're easy to get testers on Amazon. They're less than $10, $15 to get the pH, the ORP, which is your oxygen reduction potential, and the total dissolvable solid. So very, very, very easy. And everything is about memory. The liquid crystal is you. The liquid crystal is the water. And this is what we have to leave our children in the legacy. So tap water, sorry, you can't get out a lot of the nanotechnology, not just chlorine and fluorine at 0.5 microns. We'll start talking about nanotechnology, pentatechnology, and other different kind of technologies, and graphene, let alone some of the drugs that are coming here. So it's always, always the first number one thing is to gather and forage the pristine water. And again, a lot of people, you can gather where your hot springs are as well. I go to one of my local hot springs because a lot of times they're very clear and they only add chlorine in the pool. But if you get to the intake, get it to the intake before they do anything. And that's where I go, because it's either ozonated or UV'd. So I want you to take a look at it. Sometimes your hot springs, that will be a great thing. So I want you to take a look. That's absolutely essential, And then what are we going to do next? Next, what we're going to do, we're going to look at one of my favorite books. And one of my favorite books is called The Essence of Life. And the essence of life, as far as I'm going to define it, aside for your soul is your salts, and your electrolytes are what we call minerals. So let's take a look. Here's our screen share. We're going to go look at this book. I'm going to use the links below if you take a look. Let's take a look at this book. It's called Water and Salt, The Essence of Life. Even here, I have a couple copies. I never go anywhere without teaching this. This is a must. If you're a therapist at any level, into quantum, holistic, naturopathy, anything, everyone needs to know the basics. This is the most fundamental book that even a 2-year-old could probably figure out. And so I think that's important, especially if you're one of these quantum therapists and using biofeedback and Rife devices. You need to know how the water interfaces with scalar waves as well as Rife radionics, biophotonics. So take a look at this. This is The Healing Power of Nature. It's by Dr. Barbara Hendel and Peter Ferrara. Absolutely a must. And this is the healing powder of what we're going into. So we're going to talk about all sorts of things. I'm just going to flip through really quick. It's 200 and some pages, but I'm going to give you the link because that's the free PDF here. This is the first number one thing. If you've got illnesses, if you think corona, if you think you've got cancer, if you think you've got diabetes, it's all about getting those minerals in here. So anyway, this is what I want you to take a look at. This is an amazing book, and we're going to go through water technology and water therapy, and that's what I'm about as a clan mother. With the White Bear tribes, what we do is we protect water and land and the children and our bloodlines and our nations. And this is the kind of water that should be flowing through each and every one of our peoples. And that's the way it is. Even if moms are breastfeeding, you're better to do with the water on spring water. And again, get it fresh. There's a lot of things we're going to do. We're going to talk about, it's not about having alkaline water, it's about having you being alkaline. So I'm give you a couple different ways we can look at that. One of the top people as well, David Wolf, has talked about this. Dr. Robert Young has talked about this in his blog. He's absolutely amazing, and it's all about getting into the pH. A lot of people these days are actually ill They cannot take baking soda, and you may be one of them. If you've got certain diseases, edema, oxygen, circulation issues, maybe baking soda is not for you. And whether you believe it or not, we actually have clients that are literally allergic to baking soda. Go figure. So let's just take a look here. I'm just going to show you. This is our spring water I gathered up at our local site. Usually what I do is I have a water tester. We usually don't use pH, but I'm just going to use this for demonstration purposes for you. So what happens is that you can take your first morning urine, put it into a little cup, and if you're going to do urine, you spit as well. So you can put the urine or do your saliva into a cup and do that. But just for demonstrations, everything you take has a pH. As you can see, it's not changing too much, is it, guys? Not very much. And that's like most people. You're usually very acidic. Somewhere in this range here. And that range is down here in the 5 to 8. So don't get a tester here that's 0 to 14. What I want to do is get this one here that's about 5.5 up to 8. Now, norm I'm going to tell you is 7.5 to 8. That's where I want to see this go. So, if this was me, and that was my urine in the morning and my saliva, I'd be failing. Okay? So let's see what we can do to change it. So, by adding certain things, and one of them will be baking soda. We're going to add a little bit of baking soda. I'm going to show you some different things you can do at home to make a difference. So if I took, let's say, a little pinch of baking soda here, and I added it to the water, not very much, you can see it doesn't take very much. That's one of the things you can do, and once you actually start doing that, you'll start seeing, you see the difference already? It's starting to get very, very alkaline and very, very purple. Okay, so that's what we can start doing. You can see the totality of it going here. See how it's changing? And this little bit amount of baking soda can start making a difference because you're that lacking in these, again, alkaline minerals. Okay, so that's one way we can do it. There's baking soda that's an option. What's one of our other options that we can do? The other thing you can get is alkaline foods. So you start looking at alkaline food charts, for example, wheatgrass, chlorella, things like that. Very, very nutritious. And even doing lemon. So a lot of people will do what they call adding the lemon. Okay, adding a little bit of lemon and baking soda first thing in the morning is a nice way to get alkaline. The other thing, if you've got professional drops, again, you can again buy professional drops. Like I said, most people are alkaline, and let's get the idea here. If you take a cup of coffee, your cup of coffee, even if it's low acid, is usually going to take 10 or 12 glasses of water to neutralize that out. That's how much damage you guys are doing. A piece of chicken, a piece of beef, everything like that is acidic. A piece of bread, all those things are very acid. So you're going to need some baking soda or something to bring you back to that nice, rich, deep alkaline color. And again, those can be put in, those drops into here, and have a taste of that. I'm going to give you a couple other options, and we're going to play with some different ideas today and see what we can do. So those are some of the things. A lot of the things we can do with the water, I've got what's called shungite in here. And shungite is a different crystal. It's a natural, not lab made, not a tincture at so many thousands parts per million, but actually shungite is an actual crystal that's a natural fullerene, a natural carbon C60. Okay, there are synthetics and then there are natural ones. So this is one of the ones we want to look at. And carbon C60 is kind of close to what we call similar to activated charcoal. Okay, so there's activated charcoal we can use here in powder, or the other way to use it is in pills. Because if you've got dental issues, or you've got, you know, porcelain or something, or veneers, you're not going to want to take all this black powder. You might want to put it into a pill form. So whether it's pill form or not, I'm going to show you one of the ways that you can use what's called black lemonade. If you use it with the activated charcoal, what you're going to have will be called the master cleanser. And you can look up the lemonade diet or the master cleanser. You can live on this. You want to start doing this for 2-3 days instead of just fasting or doing this. Amazing stuff can happen if you start taking 1 to 2 glasses a day over a period of a couple weeks. A lot of people have found that their blood pressures normalize and their blood sugars normalize because you're slowly alkalizing with all those electrolytes and enzymes. Here's a very simple way. Okay, so we've put in our activated charcoal. Okay, not rocket science, a little bit of activated charcoal, half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, and you can fill this up with your water. And even better is if you've got a bamboo or a wooden spoon. So there we go. There's just our water. Now what we want to do is add lemon. Okay, so you need some sort of a alkalizer too. So again, it could be fresh lemon drops in here, or the other option that I have is you can also get different companies that make organic lemon juice. So there's another option. If you would rather do that, we could actually put in some organic lemon juice, okay? And that's one of the options. Always look for one. Real lemon is not organic. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in here. The other option then is to add a little bit of salt. And it could be a little bit of Himalayan salt. It could be a crystal salt. And that is another thing that we should be talking about. The salt is so, so important. And what you need to be looking at is using that salt crystal. And just the tiniest little amount of crystal can be put on your tongue. And on your tongue, those are some of the things that start the activation process every day. So here we go. I prefer to use, if you can, Celtic, North Atlantic, or some sort of a Brittany sea salt. Otherwise, you have different things people like, which are, let's say, real salt from the Utah, okay, or mixtures of what we call tri-salt, which is where you actually take black salt, Himalayan salt, black salt, and a couple other ones. But just a little pinch here. Don't forget, start your day with a couple little drops of that salt. And this is important. Now, what some people do, and this is an optional thing, is they like to put in what we call cayenne pepper. And cayenne pepper comes in a variety of forms. So if you want to, what you could do is take a look at about 40,000 heat units. Don't get too high. See, you probably didn't know. Some people don't know that this comes in. Actually, don't mix this up with your cinnamon. My cinnamon is next to my cayenne pepper. You'll tell the difference immediately. But all we need is just a baby pinch, or if you need more, you can also put cayenne pepper pills. That's great for stopping bleeding for a lot of women that are having, when they're around people that have been injected, and are having like hemorrhaging. Another thing is called trillium. So there are different things in essential oil pills, but try some cayenne pepper. You can even put it on your feet. You could make it like a tiger balm, but you can make essential pills, just vegetable pills of this. So that's another thing that you can do as well. And so what we're going to do, my piece de resistance, which has always got to be a Karen version, right? Okay, is a drop of lemon essential oil. If you like peppermint, you can always do that. And I get my oils from Nevessence out of Banff if you're up here. If not, as long as you've got an organic thing. The other thing, whether you want stevia, monk fruit, xylitol from a birch tree, there's this maple syrup, birch syrup, yakin syrup. There's many different syrups that I will use if you need a natural glucose. Some people will even use unsulfured organic blackstrap molasses. There we go. Okay, that's how simple it is. Children love this. This is hilarious. This is not just a seasonal thing that they do at the end of October. This is an amazing drink. Okay, the other thing, sometimes if you need a boost or you want to make it cherry flavor, there's something called phyto berries. All my clients over the last 15 years know exactly what phyto berries are. Phyto berries has got about 30 of the top berries in the world. Every berry you can think of. And some essential oils and all sorts of things are in here. But it's from a company called Progressive. And what happens is that you can certainly go and add a little bit of this. What will happen, and a lot of my children will just eat it straight, is you put a little bit of the cherry and strawberry and acai and goji and everything else in here. You can eat it straight. You can make a tea out of it. But let me tell you, 28 pounds are dehydrated into this pound. So if you went out and bought 28 pounds of fruit and then dehydrated it, this is what it would be. So it's a lot cheaper to get it this way than to keep buying fruit. So this is in my bug in and my bug out package, because you can live on this indefinitely. This will give you every electrolyte, mineral, vitamin, the precursors to amino acids, everything in here. So that's one of my little tips and secrets. So anyway, there we go. Cheers. So whether you want it straight as lemonade, the other thing as well, if you really want to get that chlorophyll in, it could be chlorophyll in water, it could be chlorophyll with lemonade, or again, the other thing you can do is add the chlorophyll greens, liquid greens, right into here as well. Okay, chlorophyll is actually the building blocks to blood. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. And that is so tasty, you have no idea. Seriously, I did this on Facebook years ago. People are still doing it because I did a little 5-minute demo like this, and they're still doing this. Delicious. Okay, so we're going to talk about different ways to use water. I gave you the first way. Obviously, it's to drink it. Second way is to actually steam it up. And one of the things you can also do is to put water into here, steam it up, and put some of your herbs into here. Now, herbs can be just tea bags, they could be loose, they could even be essential oils in here. So that's one of the other options that I like, is just to get this up. You know, you can put, like I said, loose teas can go into here, so that's not a problem. So you could put loose teas or equivalent to a 1/4 cup of dry loose teas, or probably 2-3 tea bags. It's not rocket science, and virtually any dehydrated thing can go in here. And again, we can steam them up here. So what happens is you can put also a little bit of salts if you want back in there. You can put some essential oils in there. Lots of options. You know, even baking soda is done when people have been really acidic. So this is one of the things. You're going to steam it up, and then you're going to vape. Okay, so you're going to also put a towel over, and you're doing like a facial. Especially these days, it's great because of breathing and getting all the crap out of you. So one of the other things you can do is, once you've got this all boiling, you can stand up over it. So I could put it on the ground for a few minutes, you know, usually on some sort of a cutting board or something, or marble, or outside in cement, whatever. And you stand over it for about 4 or 5 minutes and let it vape and smudge. So rather than taking eagle feathers and trying to use, you know, smudge bowls, do a herbal steam smudge. It's very, very effective, even more so in some ways. The other option is then we can take and use this tea off here, and then what we can do is put it into what we call an enema bag. And so enema bags can be used, and I think that's another important thing. So those are things that we need to go back into. And again, doing a home enema bag is imperative. You can get them in buckets, you can get them in bags. They look like a home IV bag. You put your warm tea or salt water, whatever, in here. You grease up this end and slowly put it in. You know, 1 or 2 cups, which is not very much, you guys. I can take probably a whole bag plus into my colon. But for most people starting off, it could be a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup. If you're doing okay, go up to a 1 cup. Grease your end. And this is the same thing, okay? This could be a vaginal douche in this case, or if you use another end, it will be straight, and that'll be your rectal one, or bulb. So, like I said, enema is another thing. So let's talk about the most important thing I've been talking about lately, which is the neti pot, good old neti pot. So again, here we go. We can add a little bit of our salts into here. So we're going to put a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking soda, and in this case, we're going to put some warm water. And if you want, instead of salt, people are using things like MMS, a drop, or a drop of hydrogen peroxide, or putting in some of your essential oils like eucalyptus or something along that line. The idea is that you're going to use stuff. You could even put a little bit of bentonite or zeolite clay. Now, one of the things, if you haven't seen it or seen my different shows, a neti pot is like a little teapot. And you're going to run it up through the nose, and you're going to tilt your head. And it's going to be coming out here. So you can see it's dripping out. You do that for a minute, and what you're trying to do is get out all the airborne inhalants. This should be done twice a day. You can do it when you're showering or bathing. You see how it's coming out. So run a teapot on each one. It's not rocket science. You're not going to gag or anything along that line. I can do it here. I can do it in the kitchen. It doesn't matter. I could do it in the living room as I'm doing it here for you. So look up neti pot, because those are very, very important things that you need to know on here. The next way we're going to use water, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, again, you can use your power plates, you can use your crystals in here. I've got some shungite crystals. Other thing you're seeing are these different things. This is a power core box. This is red light, blue light, and essential oils in here. So I've got my essential oils on here. Let's say I want to open this up, put in some of my essential oils into here. It will go through the chamber. This chamber's got 5 energy IC quantum chips in here. And then what it does is it goes through this metal. This metal is actually titanium. It is also zinc, and it's also iodine, guys. One of the things you're all missing these days, right? Okay, so you're going to blow through this mineral shield, okay? And then we can go on high or low, hot or cold, blue light or red light. But you're running a terahertz. And the terahertz goes, if you've been in a suntan bed, you know what infrared is. Terahertz is where the cells vibrate at. And if you get too small, like their 5G, 6G, LED stuff, that is starting to run into what we call the actual microwave. And that's why we use biofeedback, because it operates in the radio wave. Okay, so non-hurting. So again, power on, power off, power on your red light. You can see it's glowing. And a lot of people are starting to terahertz their water now. Okay, just keep it a safe distance from the glass, about 4 to 6 inches. Okay, you can put it up there. You see how a lot of people are moving it. Okay, and that's another option there. When the last one's, again, you can use it for the animals, dogs, plants. I used to do spring water, and all these plants that in ferns that would grow down all of a sudden were spiking up, you know, vertical spikes. Next thing I'm going to talk about is using biofeedback. And I think biofeedback is the most underrated, probably the best thing. We have one of the simplest things out there right now, which is called a, what is it, you guys? R-I-F-E, Rife. Okay, so the Rife machine is quite huge. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Rife. And before I do that, got your pens out. The other option as well, I'm just going to talk about an aerosol thing. And we're going to just show you that briefly. That particular water that we used in here, okay, we could also put into this chamber. This is a nebulizer chamber. And you can buy these little devices. They're about $60 to $150. If you haven't seen these, this is what they look like. They toggle on and off. They've got a tubing. It's an air tubing. It's not oxygen. But a lot of people are having difficulty breathing, so you can put in peroxide, MMS, which is called water purification drops. One of our best suppliers is called realrawfood.com up here. So again, water, colloidal silver, colloidal gold, colloidal zinc, colloidal copper, whatever you want. You could put in some eucalyptus, whatever you want to do for your aerating. A little bit of baking soda. Lots of options in here. Okay, you can even do some of your herbal teas and stuff like that. Again, you put this on. Here's your, again, your little chamber, like a teapot, and it aerates this. You have the choice of adult or small masks. The other option you have is a pipette, which is like a straw. So this is all we did. And let me tell you, it was a lot worse in the hospital. They didn't know half of what I know now. So this smells really great. You're having brain fog. If you've got any kind of claustrophobia, just hold it underneath you or just in front. A lot of people and children, if they've ever had abuse or trauma, they cannot handle having that done. Okay, so just keep it at a safe distance. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's another option. So these are going to be some great things here. So hopefully you're going to take some great ideas out of here. Last but not least, we talked about using the steams and stuff like that. You're going to get a either Visionware, Pyrex, or I like using these kind of things. So basically, I'm just going to show you what's in here. You're putting the water, salt, your herbs in there. Only this time what I'll do is I'll transfer it. I've even used the stainless steel mixing bowls. And you put your herbs in here, and what you're going to do is put it on a steamer. And on that steamer, you're going to use a chair or commode, and you're going to use this herbal teas or herbs or oils right over a chair or a seat or a porta potty or something, or just sit over the side of a chair. But that's all you're doing. Okay, and you can sit on that safely 20 minutes to about an hour, longer if you want. I used to watch movies on that. And that's called a yoni or a vaginal steam, or for men we call it a lingam steam or an A steam. One of my top things for diabetes, cancers, sexual abuse, ritual abuse, or just getting more lucid dreaming. So this is one of my top #1 things. Also using herbs, you can take those herbs into a little tea ball like a potpourri, like a sachet, and make those up with a little string, or buy them called a yoni pearl or yoni string. So we're going to show you the last thing here, which will be the biofeedbacks. One of the most important things you can actually do and go and have is using your phone. So this does not work on Wi-Fi. It is not an awful thing to have, but instead what you can do is you can run what's called, I'm going to give you 3 different versions. I'm going to put my link in as well, and that will be at my site, geniusbalancing.com/my site/Karen Lusick McDonald. What you can do is you can go into these new ones. They're called Geniuses. You can see your energies, your auras. You can see if the 5G or the radiation, or if you've been contaminated through some sort of transmission, through injections, or secondary exposure to it. So what you can do is start seeing what's going on. So we can look at it with you and look at it from different types of scans and colors. And we're seeing a lot of graying out because of what's been going on as well. So those are some of the things. In the bottom is a tray. You put in the herb or the oil that you need, and you simply just hit the play button. It's not that difficult. And we're going to actually put this on. You can see a few things looking like I got it is an identified flying object behind me. You can put it on here and put play. If I'm using some of these things, what you're seeing here, which can go on you, the animal, the children, around the water glass here. Okay, so you could actually do your water or just the glass, or on you. And this is LED. This is biophotonic. This is what's increasing the nitric oxide. So as I talked about getting litmus paper, you could get nitric oxide paper to test too. So if I turn it off and I just want it to run in to the sounds instead of the light, what it will do, it will transfer over here, and then you will hear the tones. It's generating solfegial frequencies, multiple thousands at a time. And so you can hook yourself up with headphones, or you can hook yourself up with bracelets. Okay, so these are very interesting. That's like you see in the pyramids, the copper and the silver they're all holding. This is an upgrade to the whole Clark zapping. So this is my new zap thing. Again, having said that, there's another one called an Odyssey. And this Odyssey is one that you just put your voice into and you go, wow, do I need relaxation? Do I need whatever? Detox? Do I need, sleeping? Do I need hormone? All you do is pick the category that you like, and then you're just going to hit play and it will play it for you. So this is without you having to do a whole bunch of work or see what mineral and vitamin. If you want that other one, this is what I call ditch the dock and restart your clock, which is the Genius. So ditch the dock and restart your Genius, clock your genes. And so that's the Genius. What I am going to talk about as well is something called a Rife. And the Rife is absolutely amazing. So we're going to take a look at that here in a second. You must know the difference on these, because all of these can be interfaced onto your phone, tablets, and iPads, you guys. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to show you a site you can go to if it's something that you're interested in, you think you might want to go into, then that's what we're going to look at. So let's go in and we'll look at that Rife. We're going to go into one of the websites as I talked about, and that website will be what we call the Genius Balancing. So if you look at that, let's look at the Genius Balancing site here. I'm going to take you right over there quickly, and then you can have a boo at it. And like I say, if you want to have a session, you want to just download it, play with it yourself, this is called the Possibility Wave. It's Ryan Williams' site. If you need to get a hold of me, I can help you as well. I'm one of the lead instructors in the field and have been doing medicine for over 40 years. And yes, I am a nurse. I just do it quantumly. And about 30 other little certificates we got over the years. So if you want to look at things like live blood cell, you want to look at dry blood cell, you want to look at iridology, you want to look at sclerology, you want to look at face rating, you want to look at tongue rating, you want to look at traditional Chinese medicine, which is based on shamanic, Vedic, or Russian medicine. You want to look at acupuncture meridians. You want to look at a different option. You want to look at herbology, essential oils, water technologies, what you've picked up possibly in the field. This is when you can get a hold of me at clanmother13@gmail. Now in here, this is something, if you want to get the scan, you can. Okay, we're going to go into libraries, but what I'm going to show you will be the Rife as well. So this is based on voice technology. I want you to take a listen to this and learn all about Rife. So this is based on Royal Raymond Rife. This is what's done at MIT, at Massachusetts Technology and Institutes. This is what a lot of things. Hammerherd was based on, new dramatic medicine, all sorts of things. So this is also about meditation, visualization. The difference is when you're trying to break contracts or you're trying to do imprinting or positive affirmations, you can make up your own affirmation and actually feed it back to your system. That's why it's called bio loop. Okay, it's a cybernetic loop. It's a two-way dual directional. So it's almost like matrix energetics, only the third point instead of 2 pointing is you. So we use that for hormones, headaches, pain, stress, joints, skin, anything along that line. Think of something that's going on. So I want you to see what can be done. You can do it at home in the convenience. We can do it for pets. We can do it for children. We can do it for babies. I do not hook up anyone directly if they're nursing. If they're pregnant, they have certain medications, or they're graphinated or have heavy metal implants. So if this is something that you do want to do and you do want to connect with me, then this is where you can go into that. So I would suggest that might be an option, because some people find that a very fun option to do. Okay, so if not, we've got a lot of people that you can get in touch with as well. And again, we have, you don't have to be a professional, but we do have many of us that have taken our old allopathic careers and moved them into something different. So one of the different apps here too, and we're going to talk a little bit about what those different Rifes are that I talked about, because some of them are so affordable, like you have no idea. Okay, a lot of people think, you know, in the old days, you know, they're 5-10 grand. Well, there's a lot of them that still are 5-10 grand, but not these. So we're trying to make them affordable, and all of them have usually 1 to 2 weeks of basically testing out. So let's take a look here, and let's take a look at where you can go to. Again, at the top, my site has that. So my site has something called shop. You go into shop, you can download it for free. You can do your quantum capsules. You can do a lot of things in here, but here's the Rife thing. So we have things if you need motivation, if you need affirmations, if you need to put your water on something, or doing positive things. Okay, as people think, you know, breaking the soul contracts. Let's focus on the Rife though. The Rife here is absolutely amazing. And this is where we're looking at this type of thing. So again, all you do is you put the actual condition. It will say from A to Z. Let's say you have acne. Let's say you have arthritis. You go to the A section. If you got bladder issues, you go to B for bladder. If you think cancer, we go there. You got corona, we go to C. You got parasites, so we go there for deworming. So you go to the actual name that you want, or put bones or whatever you want, and then you just put in the amount of seconds you want from 1 up to, let's say, 60. And then what you do is all you do is you hit the center button and push play. That's it. Okay, so that's the simplest way you can go into something. And like I said, most of these are under a couple $100. So those are some different options. So I hope you found some of this useful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. I am Karen Ann Lusick McDonald. I am so happy to be here with you today. You have no idea, because this is what it's all about. People die from a lack of information, not anything else. And this is one of the things that people need to be aware of. You know, when we're looking at different things on here on what we want for information and for timing, or if you want to get one of these manuals or any of these things, or just have a question going, geez, where did she get that stuff? I'd like to know. Then basically what we'll do is I will get in touch with you and just send me that question that you have, and I'd be more than happy to send you in the right direction. Okay, so one of the things as well, and I will just end off in here a couple places to get a hold of me. Again, I'm Karen Ann Lusick McDonald. I'm an integrative, holistic, and quantum medical nurse, all natural. I'm an educator. Okay, so we have universities of this quality that put out actually doctors. One is called the IQUIM. We have everything from doctorate to PhD programs, all sorts of things, even master's programs. I'm a colon hydrotherapist. I've trained in enemas. I've trained in water. I've trained in Geo, QXCI, so many different bio-voice scans, Rife and radionics. I used to teach Orgonite years ago. Or reflexology, similar to cranial sacral, the old Vitaflex, Tibetan reflexology and massage, raindrop technique, all sorts of things. But how we can use this. SARA is something that stands for sexual abuse and ritual abuse. Vaginal yoni peristeam. So peristeam hydrotherapy, ear to navel candling as well. And again, emotional trauma, emotional release, matrix energetics. So those are just a few of it. So when I usually show people what's going on, because they don't realize what's going on with the biofeedback, if you see here in the bottom, right, when you put it on, it's going and in and around you. So it's not something that's just stagnant, okay, just going in the air. It actually penetrates through you, as does any of this technology that I'm showing you here. We use it for animals, so I've done pets, cats, dogs, horses, bison, camels. Okay, it can be used on a lot of different animals here. This is used very highly in the industries. You can do essential oils. You can see the difference in the live blood cell before and after we do the technology. We've done that a lot with people, you know, for showing that with people like Dr. Robert Young and Lorraine Andrews at True Health Canada. You will see the difference again in the vibration. So we have the ability to make libraries or scan it or do iridology, sclerology, even live blood cell through this kind of technology, and increasing your vibration. We want to increase your vibration so that you are vibrating. So again, if you're very low energy, exhausted, drained, in fear, grief, trauma, we want to vibrate you higher. And that's why you hook yourselves up to these biofeedback machines, because they vibrate you to the point where we call it an entrainment. You can actually vibrate yourself to the point that you think, hey, I am feeling a little happier. So that's one of the things you can do as well. So I think that's another exciting thing. And again, on here, we'll just go through a couple more techniques before we leave you today. And again, you can put any questions you have. If you need to look up the sites when I start talking about some of these different places, you're going to really enjoy it, because like I said, a lot of people are not teaching it. And I end up teaching a lot of medical doctors and all sorts of things. We have new kind of patches that we can put on our remedy plates, and you wear them instead of a Band-Aid, but like life patches that build up your biofields. We can use things with shungite and all sorts of new crystals, and bioholographics, which are coming up as well. So those are something else as well. There's so many applications people have never heard of. So one of the things we talked about was that yoni steam here. And again, you can just put it on the ground. You could just put it with a thing, hot plate underneath. You can see the navel candling, like ear candling. These again are the use of using yoni steam, either herbs through steaming, because it goes up and internal. So it's used for parasite cleansing. It's used for stimulating the first lower three chakras, especially the first. As you're sitting on it for half an hour, it starts cleaning up and opening up all the timelines and meridians. A lot of lucid dreaming, a lot of ancestral memories come back. We talked about the herbs that are like a little potpourri that can be inserted into the womb for about 3 days. Again, there's stuff like colon hydrotherapy. If you don't want to get your own steamer, you can look at these steamers. These Shakti spas and things are all available. Home enemas, home klima boards, going to colon hydrotherapy, getting you back to a state of alkalinity. I use a lot of crystals, and crystal therapy much has been, you know, resolved with a lot of crystal therapies, like we talked about shungite and combinations with other things. Applying essential oils, if they scare you and you don't want to take them in veggie caps or on the skin, my gosh, just stick them on your feet and see what happens with a little castor oil and hot wet towels. We call it aroma touch massage, or again, you're marinating someone. I used to say it annoying, but now we like to say we marinate you or pickle you. That could be done, but it's called raindrop technique when I trained with Dr. Gary Young. And those are great books to get. Essential oil desk references, things like that. You can make up your own. You can look up these recipes online. Again, what we're talking about when we talk about the yoni steam or vaginal steam, you can see one of the guys there. That's one of the doctors, one of the most famous doctors, called Botched is the series. Dr. Terry Dubrow and his wife. Again, these are clinics that are by doctors, for doctors, also for the public, but it's an upgrade from the sitz bath. So it's a perpetual steam instead of going to sweats and saunas, which are making people sick because of the mixtures, or going into rooms with scalar waves where you're mixing vax and unvaxxed people with all sorts of things. You don't know what are being carried within that triangulation or in that particular, you know, sitting with all these people and off-gassing as well to you. So those are some different things. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm Karen Ann Lusick McDonald, and have a great, beautiful day. I wish you happiness, joy, and abundance. May you understand the law of the land at this time. We want to thank you for your understanding. We want to thank you for the peace that you're coming into. And our little bear clan and our bloodlines have been around since before Noah's and the Arcturians. So let's see if we can get back to those things, right? And look forward to restoring the law of the land and the foundations of law. And that's what it's all about, is being healthy inside and out. Anyway, take care. Spasibo.